Have you ever wondered if the missing piece in your relationship, your marriage, is something counterintuitive, something you've never even thought about before? Have you ever considered the fact that actually taking solace in solitude from each other could bring you closer together, closer than you've ever been? Join us today as we unravel the unexpected magic of creating space in a marriage. This is the Strength of Seduction podcast, the #1 resource for Black couples who want to build intimacy, love, and connection in their relationship. I'm your host, Daniel DiPiazza. Welcome back to the Strength of Seduction podcast, the #1 resource for Black couples who want to build intimacy, love, and connection in their relationship. I'm your host, Daniel DiPiazza. If you are new here and you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for updates. If you're listening to this on your favorite podcast platform like Apple or Spotify, make sure to subscribe and leave a review. Guys, every single review, every single like, every single comment and share helps, so we really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Now, today we are delving into a topic that might seem counterintuitive to many, the idea of creating space in a marriage. And before you jump to conclusions, let's clear something up. We're not talking about separation or distancing yourself from your partner in any negative sense. Instead, we're exploring the rejuvenating power of occasionally taking a step back, giving each other room to breathe, and how it can lead to a deeper and more fulfilling connection with your partner. And we're going to be sharing tips and insights, maybe challenging some of the conventional wisdom that we've all heard about marriage. So, whether you are newlyweds or you're celebrating your silver anniversary, today's episode promises insights that can refresh and rejuvenate your relationship. So let's dive in. So the first thing is just understanding the need for space, okay? There is this misconception that married couples need to do everything together, and it's simply not true. Look, I have been with my wife Sarah now for 13 years, and we have grown so much together. But I have to tell you, the individual growth that we've both experienced on our own through our own life experiences as a result of our own failures, fuck-ups, and our own wins and triumphs has contributed just as much to our relationship together as it has to our own personal development. And I think that's something that goes overlooked often. It's that your individual growth actually makes the relationship better. Therefore, you can't do everything together, nor should you do everything together, because when you do things alone and you do things separately, you bring back those learnings, that information, that wisdom, and those experiences to the relationship. And so there's a big importance here in maintaining personal identity in a marriage. You're going to want to make sure that you have your own unique experiences that you can bring back to the relationship to inform how that relationship can grow into the next phase. You wouldn't want to live a life where you don't remember or know who you are outside of the relationship. And of course, it's something that we don't often think about, especially when you've been in a relationship or a marriage for quite a long time. You sometimes forget that I do have an individual life, and this individual life is something that is just for me, but we're coming together to enjoy our individual lives collectively. It's not that my life is my husband's life or my life is my wife's life and we're sharing a life. We're on the same road, but we're in separate vehicles. And of course, we have to sometimes go our own way, but that's okay because it's part of the beauty of marriage. It's part of the beauty of a relationship. And there's a big benefit in taking space sometimes. And one of those benefits is just the emotional recharge. Time apart can help to reset and refresh your emotions, even with partners that we love dearly, that we enjoy spending time with, and that we wouldn't choose any other person. We still need time to be alone, to be by ourselves. And sometimes, look, our spouses get annoying. Let's be honest. I know that I get on my wife's nerves, and I know that she gets on mine. And that's kind of part of being around someone all the time. And so taking that space can help to reset and refresh your emotions. And of course, during this time, another big benefit of taking space is personal growth, pursuing individual hobbies, individual interests to foster your own development. There might be some things that you want to do that your spouse, your husband, or your wife doesn't want to do, and that's okay. Do it by yourself. Maybe you really want to take up an instrument. You really want to learn a new language. You really want to try a martial art or a sport. They don't have to do that with you for you to enjoy that, benefit from that, and also bring back the benefits of that to the relationship. They can be supportive of you, and that's really what you want. You want someone who's supportive of your personal growth, but they don't need to do everything that you do in order for you to grow personally. So emotionally recharging, growing on your own. Another thing is, when you're taking space, it's going to reduce your dependency on others, your spouse particularly. Building self-reliance and reducing your over-reliance on your partner is pretty key. And this is just as important for men as it is for women. Even right now, I'm on a trip and I was talking to my wife, and there were some things going on with my mom this trip, and I was feeling a little bit anxious and nervous. And she was comforting me, and she was saying at the same time, don't forget to be present with your mom. Don't forget to be present on this trip that you're taking. And you don't need to be texting me all the time and blowing me up. I'm like, whoa, I wasn't texting you all the time. I wanted to connect with you. But as I was hearing her talk, I was thinking, yeah, there is no reason to be anxious. I don't need for her to have support over everything that I'm doing, know everything I'm doing at all times, and get that feedback. Because really, I think what was happening is I'm traveling, there's some things I'm anxious about, and I want her to tell me it's going to be okay. And you don't need constant reassurance to feel secure in yourself. And that was something that was happening without me even realizing it. She pointed it out to me. I said, oh, you're right. Yes, I am feeling that way sometimes. And you can reduce your dependency on your spouse by purposely taking your own trips, your own things that you're working on that they're not there for, and that's okay. I think another big benefit of taking this space too is increased appreciation. Distance makes the heart grow fonder, as they say. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. And time apart can really enhance the gratitude and appreciation you have for each other. So it can really be a positive in that way. Now, let's talk about healthy ways to take space in a marriage. One of them is just scheduled alone time, setting aside specific times for individual activities, your hobbies, your pursuits, your friend groups, things that are just for you, your alone time, your relaxation time, setting that time aside and setting a boundary around it. And we probably should have another podcast on setting boundaries in a relationship, but creating some boundaries around it that's just for you. Another thing you can do are solo vacations or retreats. There's a huge value in taking the occasional solo trip, and there's a big impact on the rejuvenation that it can have for you and for the relationship itself. I know my wife takes solo trips on a regular basis. I take solo trips, and we take together trips. So I think that's been really a beautiful way for us to stay connected to ourselves as we grow together. Sarah has taken trips to Kenya, Thailand. Oh boy, geez, I'm blanking on some of the places. She's gone some really cool places. I'm like, I wish I was there. But I've also gone all around the world and all over the country as well by myself. And we've also gone around the country and the world together. But I think those solo trips are really important. Not everything has to be a shared experience, because there's things that you want to take in and things that you want to do your way and things that you want to see with maybe just a friend group. And that's totally okay. And of course, part of this is really comes down to having individual social circles. Encouraging friendships and social activities outside of the marriage is so important on both sides of the aisle, and encouraging separate friend groups. And you can have those friend groups that are connected and commingling, and you can share friends and you can bring friends in and out of different groups. But ultimately, I think it's great to have separate friend groups as well, where it's just about your friendship. And that's something I've experienced too, because I have a wide circle of friends. And it's come to my attention that not all of my friend groups need to be combined with all of her friend groups. And we can have some of that crossover for sure, but it doesn't need to be one large circle. I think there's this idea, at least there was in the beginning of my marriage and in the relationship in general, that now that we're doing things together, everything's together. But that's just not the case. I think friend groups are a great example of that. A Venn diagram is a perfect example. You have two individual circles that come together and they share a piece of it in the middle, but they're not one circle that's concentric inside another circle. They're two circles that share common ground but are mostly separate. I think that's a healthy way of looking at the friend groups. And of course, you want to have separate hobbies as well, pursuing individual interests that don't involve your partner. Look, I do jujitsu multiple times per week, and I would love if Sarah did it, but I don't expect her to, and she doesn't want to. And that's totally 100% fine. And if she ever does, I'll be so happy, but I don't expect her to. And she's taking a pole dancing class, and I think that's just her thing. And it's good because it gives that time for space. Now, I think another really healthy way to take space in a marriage is just having some time for personal reflection, engaging in solitary activities like journaling, meditation, solo walks, just to maintain your own personal boundaries. And even sometimes sleeping in separate rooms, not in a way that is anything about anger, nothing about, it's not about being mad at each other or angry or trying to punish each other. It's just literally disconnecting from each other's energy with the intention to reconnect later. We have a guest bedroom, and sometimes I'll sleep in there, sometimes she'll sleep in there. And it's not about one person being mad or one person wanting to get away from the other person, as much as it's just like healthy to recharge and be in your own energy for a while. And I think that's very healthy. And if it's been 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 years since you've slept even in a separate bed from your partner, try it. I'm sure you've already tried it if you're listening to this. I can't be the only one. It's pretty nice. And it makes sleeping together actually seem more fun. And honestly, who doesn't like having the whole bed to themselves? Come on, let's be honest here. I think that goes without saying why that is important and what's useful with that. Now, let's differentiate here. There's a difference between taking space and avoiding. Avoidance is not what we're looking for. So you have to understand the difference between healthy space taking and using it as an escape mechanism or punishment. We're not looking to really avoid our partner. We're not looking to avoid issues that need to be talked about. We're not looking to escape something that is uncomfortable. We're looking to create a space for ourselves where we can rest in our own energy, feel whole, nourished, and complete, feel happy within ourselves. And then when we come together, we're just more complete. And it's two more complete people coming together to have a happier, healthier bond. I think that's the key here. So it's not a running away, it's actually a coming together, but it's allowing ourselves to recharge in solitude at times. And of course, this comes down to having regular check-ins to discuss the needs that you guys are having in the relationship, the experiences of the relationship you guys are having, how you're feeling about it. And so knowing that when you do have those alone times, it's not out of anger. It's not something where you're trying to avoid a difficult conversation. And if you guys are having regular check-ins like this, then that will be understood. And listen, there are some potential pitfalls and misunderstandings here that happen pretty commonly with couples. I think that one of the things is you want to make sure that the person who you're taking space from, the relationship that you're taking space inside of, doesn't create a feeling of neglect. You don't want to create so much space that the person feels neglected. And you don't want the person to misunderstand why you need the space. If you're not communicating clearly that this is a positive thing that doesn't have anything to do with the other person and you not loving them or liking spending time around them, it's more about yourself and your own growth, your own education, your own development. If you're not communicating that clearly, there's the opportunity for misunderstanding, and that can breed hurt and distrust and fear in the relationship. So you just have to address the concerns that might come up. If you're saying, hey, listen, this is something that's really important to me. I want to take time to go out with my friends because I feel like I need to be in the energy of the girls or the boys. Or, hey, I'm really wanting to grow my business, so I'm taking this extra class and I want to spend this time doing this. That's why I'm alone right now. Or, hey, I really want to work on this area of my life, this hobby, this sport, this pursuit, and so I'm taking time to do this, but it's for my own personal development, and we won't be spending as much time together during this time when we normally would, but this is what is, I think, going to be really beneficial for me, and let's find something for you as well. I would love for you to be working on yourself as well. And you find your own ways to phrase it. You find your own ways to communicate that, but I think it's really important. And of course, you don't want to lead to disconnection. I think sometimes, probably mostly this is a guy thing, but we want to make sure that we're not just thinking these things, we're actually saying these things. So a lot of times men have trouble communicating what they're doing or what their needs are. And sometimes I will have a conversation in my head that I don't actually have in real life. Have you ever read a text message and you respond to it mentally, but then you realize, oh, I didn't respond to it physically, and it's been like a week or now 2 weeks, and you're like, oh, I didn't respond to you. I mentally responded in my head and I didn't say it in real life. The same thing can happen in your relationship. You might know that you taking space has nothing to do with the other person in a negative way, but they might not know that. So make sure that this is communicated so that there isn't a disconnection. And look, part of this and some tips for communicating this need really just come down to choosing the right time to discuss it. Talk about what you're excited about and wanting to pursue within your own life over a nice dinner. Don't do it at a time when your spouse is stressed or that the kids are running around and they can't focus. Do it at a time when it's convenient, when you're in a good mood, when things are calm, and just Bring it up in a way that feels confident and loving and supportive. And just be clear and be honest, be understanding, and be reassuring to your partner about your commitment and your love. And again, make it about just getting your needs met, not about them not meeting your needs. It's a personal need. It's something that they couldn't fulfill because this is a need for your own personal growth. And just establish mutual respect for the individual needs that you guys have. And these are just some of the elements, I think, when it comes to learning to take personal space. So just talking about the idea of healthy space in a marriage. This is what I want you to take away from this podcast. Healthy space. Knowing that this healthy space is not avoiding your partner, but it's ways for you to reconnect with you. And that is a benefit to your partner. When you take that healthy space, you're going to emotionally recharge. You're going to personally grow. You're going to stop being so dependent on that other person. You're going to increase your appreciation for them. You're going to come back wanting to be with them even more. And there are lots of ways to do this. We talked about scheduling alone time, solo vacations or retreats, individual social circles, having separate hobbies, having time for personal reflection. And these are all great ways to take that healthy space. So I really want to encourage you to evaluate your own relationship and to see if taking space can be beneficial. I know it has been for me in my relationship, and I hope it can be for you as well. And just, I wanted to lastly remind you of the importance of communicating your feelings and your experiences with your partner so that they know that you guys are in this together. So that's all we have for you today. Hope that you enjoyed this balanced and interesting approach on the idea of taking space and how it can really be a positive and constructive thing for your relationship. This is Daniel DiPiazza. This is the Strength of Seduction podcast, the #1 resource for Black couples who want to build the intimacy, love, and connection in their marriage and their relationship. Make sure that you refer this podcast to a friend, to a family member, to a colleague, to a coworker who would benefit from it. Make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening to this, watching it on. Make sure you leave a review. They always help us, guys. That's it. I'll talk to you later.